Well, hello there. Welcome to What's the Tea with Gen X, Y, and Z. We are three generations, three perspectives, but one cup of truth. So get ready for a refreshing take on hot button topics because we're going to be brewing up a steaming hot take on today's most pressing issues where we're going to dish on everything from social justice to pop culture. With humor, honesty, and just a little healthy debate, we're going to sip the tea. We're going to spill the honest truth. And then we're going to find common ground across the generational gap. This show is guaranteed to stir the pot. So, welcome to all of you there in TV and podcast land. I am Dr. Melissa, and I am representing, no, not the Zers. I know I look like it. Not the wires. I might look like a millennial. No, your girl is staunchly an Xer and proud of it.
Okay. And what's up, y'all? I am Amber, holding it down for us millennials.
And I'm Zion, as always, keeping it real for Gen Z.
Mhm.
Even though I'm an old soul, still Gen Z, baby.
Same here.
And let me tell you, after about 5 minutes into the show, you will know that he's a Gen Z. You won't confuse him with any other generation.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
No.
I don't know about all that.
Old soul, but I promise you.
Old soul.
One thing about this show that is really good is, yeah, it's Gen X, Y, and Z, but you really, other than my very youthful looks, you really don't get confused about the generations. When we start talking, it is very clear who we represent. So I think we're like a really good representation of our generation.
Absolutely.
I'm a proud millennial.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Proud for sure.
Amen.
Ain't nothing like us.
Amen.
That's the point.
And nobody wants to. No, I'm sorry. That
was something right there.
That was something right there. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, I like millennials and Zers. We gave birth to them.
Oh, that is true. Indeed.
Amen. So
I don't got no rebuttal for that one.
You do not. Okay, so y'all, I'm excited about today's topic. Let me throw this out there. I'm going to set you up, get you on the porch, as they say, before we bring you into the house with what we're going to talk about. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you followed me at all, you know I'm really big on talking about growing up down a dirt road and how I became this box checker so that I could escape poverty. And one of those boxes included being the first person in my family to go to college. You know, got the bachelor's, the master's, the doctorate. Like I'm a school geek, right? And why? If you followed me, if you looked at the TED Talk and all that, shameless plug, it's on YouTube, Dr. Melissa Bedford. Anyway, you know that when I talked about getting out of the grips of poverty, I sort of looked out to see what did you need to do in order to have the American dream? Like, right. What did you need to do? And what I realized was, in my time, you needed an education. Like, education was the key to open the door. And then if you saw stuff like The Cosby Show, Heathcliff Huxtable and Claire Huxtable, he was a doctor, she was a lawyer. And then right after that came A Different World, which was college. Back in my time, the message was education, 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 education. You're not going to make it without an education. Right. So I set out to do that, right? Now, the tee-hee-hee to the whole thing right now is, I'm not so sure that that's the key anymore. Yeah. So what we're going to talk about today is this whole thought process of education and degrees. And the burning question is that we're going to tackle today, and we want your feedback is, do you really need to have a degree in today's world to be successful? I throw it out to my illustrious people.
That's a good original question right
Great
there.
Question.
Ooh, sizzling. I guess I can tap in real quick. Z, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely. I'll wait on your cue.
So, similar to Dr. Melissa, I am also a first gen, what we call it? First gen graduate? College grad. So I have my bachelor's.
She struggled with that, didn't she?
I did. Really, I really did. But hey, they know me. This season 4, y'all know how I am by now. But I have a bachelor's. I also have a master's, and I'm currently working on my doctorate. So when I came out of high school, of course, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So I had this conversation with my guy dad. I was like, I think I'm going to do social services. He was like, nope, ain't nothing in the workforce for that degree. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I want to go to school for. So, talking to my mom, of course, she gave me support. She never had went to college, so she wasn't exactly sure, what type of guidance to give, but her support meant everything at the time. So I decided to just go for administration. Of course, everybody needs, someone with administrative skills. So I started off in the healthcare, then of course I migrated to business. But I'm saying all of that to say, as I got into, college, I thought, oh, I got to keep going. But then I had some of my peers that kind of just dropped off because they was like, I might as well just become my own boss. So a lot of them went on to become entrepreneurs and are doing fairly well in entrepreneurship. Now, don't get me wrong. I tapped into that field and I said, this is not for me. For everybody, it might be. For some, it might not be. Right. For me, I prefer to be in the C-suites and, executive management. That's just me. But you'll find a lot of people that are millennials that prefer to go the entrepreneur route. If you look at data and statistics. But now it's like, is it even worth it? Now I feel like it's worth it because that's just, who I am. But for others, it's like, with my kids growing up, like, do I tell them, hey, you better make sure you go to college? Right. I'm going to support them in whatever endeavor or decision that they choose fitting for their lifestyle. Of course, I want them to be a doctor, a lawyer, but that's mommy's dream. That's not baby girl's dream. So that is definitely a brewing topic. Is it necessary to have a college degree these days? Right. I don't know.
That was a great synopsis on it. Yeah, by the way, I'm just going to plug in. A social services degree is pretty good. That's how Dr. Melissa came through the ranks. There was nothing out there, but I'm just saying he was wrong.
That's exactly what he told me. I was like,
and some people say, oh, people, that's the thing. People are so divided about that. Yeah. But I think you laid it out masterfully. Master. No pun intended. Amen. What do you say, Z?
Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is I'd never want to discourage anybody from getting their degree. I'm actively working on my bachelor's degree. So I think when it comes to the question, is it worth it? I think it all depends if it aligns with whatever your gifts are or your beliefs are or your ideals are. Like I believe that we all individually have a talent. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I think it's actually a beautiful thing that going to college is not the objective way, the only blueprint for success nowadays. Right. Because not everybody is going to be a scholar. Like not everybody is going to just coincide with that path. Right. So it's just especially like nowadays in our generation, I think there's just a deeper appreciation for creativity and entertainment. And there's not such a rigid process because the entertainment industry has always existed, but there was a lot of different processes, and then you had to be scouted, and then you had to have the right connections, and different different variables like that. So nowadays, when it's as simple as getting on your phone, like you'll be shocked to see how many talented people there are, people who are able to role play and act out skits and think of things you would never thought of.
Yes.
And that has its daily pressures too. Like these people put out content on a daily basis. And as viewers, we have limited attention spans. So to have the ability to constantly entertain someone on a daily basis, that's
a skill.
That's quite the talent. And that's a talent that should be acknowledged. So because there's a deeper appreciation of creativity and how media is pushed out nowadays, it really is as simple as just turning on your phone and showcasing your ability. So I'm glad that we have that opportunity. But again, there's going to be paths and goals that people are going to do they're going to want to do those goals and pursue that path. And a lot of times that may be associated with a degree.
I love, and let me just say, when you was talking about the amount of time that it takes to do this content, sort of goes back to what we talked about in a previous episode. It is definitely a job. For
Absolutely.
Sure. I was listening to what you guys said, and I think I love it because for me as an Xer, it has stretched me beyond my concept of what needs to happen. Like I said, growing up, it was all about get your education. With my 4 children, I don't think there was ever an option given to them that you would not go to college. It was the expectation, not based on trying to chart their course, but based on, as an Xer, growing up in the world with, and especially as a person of color, this is not about race, but let's just be clear. As a person of color, you knew that options were limited, especially back in my time. So you needed to have that degree just to get in the door.
Right.
Yeah.
And so from that sensibility, I raised my children, not based on like their talents or what they wanted to do. It was like, you can do anything you want to do. You can be a janitor. That's a noble profession. You will do it with a bachelor's degree. You can be a newspaper carrier if that's what you feel called to do. But you will be newspaper carrier, comma, BS or BA. Because for me, I was not doing what I needed to do as a parent if I didn't instill that.
Yeah.
But now here's the joke. The joke is on us.
No, really.
Because I will tell you, I have all of these degrees. My doctorate degree, while wonderful because I'm just a bona fide nerd, I would go back and get another doctorate degree. It's just because I'm just a nerdy person like that. But what I do does not require a doctorate degree. And now, it may give me some credibility in some circles. I'm certainly glad for it. I certainly wouldn't change anything because it was my path. But it does not, what I do as a CEO of my companies does not require my doctorate degree. And here's the thing, based on what you said. At what point do we then give credence to people's callings and purpose?
Right.
So like if you're called to be an artist,
Right.
do you really need to incur the 6-figure debt that it requires to get a degree just so you could check a box like Dr. Melissa, because Dr. Melissa feels like you need to check a box? Do you really need to do that? And I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I sort of low-key hate this topic because I know somewhere my baby son is watching and listening. And, you know, and so artist / BS, BA. But I'm just saying, and those for my exes out there that didn't get a degree, that felt like I'm missing something or I don't have opportunities. Let me tell you something, my brother and my sister, that is now a lie. You can do anything you want to do.
Okay.
Praise be, you are no longer limited by that invisible door that if you didn't get a degree, now you don't have any ability to build wealth. I'm going to tell you, I know some millionaires. I have a book called The Millionaire Next Door. And it's all about people in the trades, plumbers, electricians, who are freaking millionaires. And the person beside them has a PH.D. with $250,000 worth of student debt, making $100,000 a year.
That is indeed true. No, a lot of people say it's within the trades that you pick up. That's why a lot of people now are going the trade route instead of going the college route.
Absolutely.
I know a couple of plumbers and electricians told me how much they make a year, and I'm like, ooh, I'm in the wrong field.
Oh yeah, mechanics.
These are self-employed individuals. They could work for a conglomerate or they can work for themselves easily, or they can do them both simultaneously.
Absolutely.
Without a hinge, and they can bring in a fairly good amount of money. But it gets you to thinking, and I'm glad you said that, because I've always often looked at the path that I took and I'm like, was this worth it? And I say it's worth it because of my babies. I keep climbing the ladder so they know that it's not a cap to whatever they want to do in life.
Yes.
Again, first generation college grad. The youngest of the grandchildren to actually have a college degree. It will be the first in my family to ever have a doctorate when I'm finished. So it hits a little different for me. That's why I said our goals and missions definitely mirror, because we're the exact same within our family. It just hits a little different. So I want my kids to be able to say, well, my mommy, she kept climbing until there was the cap. So I'm going to be able to do the same. Whatever, and it doesn't matter whatever they want to do. It's knowing that I did it for them. I opened the door for them. So it's different for some people. Some people is about just opening that door for others behind them. Even for my little cousins, other relatives that come behind me, regardless if they're older than me or younger than me, it is still possible. You don't have to cap yourself out. So I think it's, to your point where you said, is whatever your mission, values, and morals are, and whatever your purpose is. I think that is my purpose, the door opener.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now she preached.
I
don't know which book she came from, but that was good. That was good. So from the perspective of showing what's possible.
Absolutely.
That part.
Just sometimes somebody's got to show what is possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if that's what you're called to do, that is a calling in and of itself.
Yeah.
You can be called to produce music. You can be called to be an artist, but you can also be called to blaze a trail.
Absolutely.
And to show what's possible in the family and break generational curses and strongholds and stuff like that.
Somebody got to be strong enough to break those curses.
Somebody's got to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just real big on just follow your passions. Like, you don't want to be in a career or job that does not serve you, and your gift is not being able to be used to the ability it should be used. So just, and to your point, Amber, just to be able to blaze the way, I think it's important. So if you're a funny person, or you're just good at giving reactions or role playing or making skits, go ahead and do that and show other people who also possess that same ability that it's possible to make a career out of it. And I think that's the beautiful part of just modern day social media, that opportunity, for sure.
I love it. So the question becomes then, school, college, especially in this country, for those of you all that are part of our global audience, we're talking from the perspective of the U.S., where college cost is high. There are some countries, there are some European countries, there are some countries where going to college is free.
Yeah.
Right. Which then crazy. That's a whole different conversation. Because then it's like, it must be nice. Amen. But not here.
That part.
Listen, that's not the case here. So when we're talking about going to college, we're not just talking about the time and energy that it takes to acquire this degree. We're also talking about significant cost.
Right.
So the question would become then, I'm going to throw a fly in the buttermilk. Boop. You know what that means?
And I actually just looked to see. Like,
I get the gist of it.
You get the gist?
I get the gist of it. I mean, you're throwing something in the buttermilk, so you're disrupting something.
Okay, good. Yeah. I thought you was just gonna say throwing something in the buttermilk.
No,
I was
gonna say
that's what I said.
Proposing a new component.
Throwing something in I like the word disrupt.
Controversy, just
throwing something that you already had. I'm throwing something in there that's sort of messing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I say that because I am sure that my exes were like, okay, of course. But somewhere there was a Z going, fly the buttermilk. I'm like, I have to remember we have this audience, and oftentimes I'm talking, and because
remember Old Soul.
Yes, true. So I have to remember that I might have somebody watching that's like, I don't even know what she's talking about. So the fly in the buttermilk that I'm going to propose is, we're saying it almost like either or. Like, if you need to go to college because your passion will lead you to that. Let's say you have a passion for helping people medically. You're probably going to have to go to school.
Absolutely.
Right? Because in order to do what you're called to do will require training and degrees and credentials. As opposed to you want to sing, and that's what you feel called to do. You don't have to have a musical degree to sing. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you explain somebody like, let's take Shaquille O'Neal, who his purpose, what he loved to do was play basketball, did it well.
Yeah,
might we add, millions and millions of dollars, who then decided to go back to college and get his doctorate degree. Why he do that? Like, what was the purpose for that?
I think he wanted more. I think his was more so for like legacy too, because his thing with his children is like, hey, like, this money is my money. I want you to curate your own money. So he's like, hey, yeah, you can have your talents on the courts, but also make sure you go to college and get you some brains behind that too, and build your own legacy, build your own, your own empire. I guess he don't want them to necessarily bandwagon off of him, even though they're his children. He'll never see them stranded or anything, but he wants them to have their own pot of money, and which I can understand his rationale behind it. Like, even with my children, mama did this, but I want you to be able to apply your skills, your methods to your own pot, where we continuously have generational growth throughout your children, your children's children, their children, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's I don't know.
Good synopsis. What do you think, Zion?
Yeah, I think that's a great example. So I don't know why he did it personally. So I'm just gonna try to surmise why. So I think when you think about purpose is not just one lifelong thing. Like sometimes your purpose can change in different seasons. So his like playing basketball professionally for what 15 and 20 years, however long he played it, was his purpose for those first 2 decades. But you can't play forever. You know, playing sports on a professional level, especially, puts a physical toll on your body.
Indeed.
So then, and I think there might have been a bad narrative associated with that because a lot of people are envious, and to anyone out there who got that jealousy in your heart, just pray about that. That gotta it hurts you, right? So I think a lot of people, you see someone like Shaquille O'Neal, 7'1", 300 pounds, real muscular. Like, he's gonna be that. Those physical attributes is gonna be tailored to playing basketball, and so I think it comes with a bad rap sometimes, where it's like, oh, well, if you were 5'10" and 170, then you wouldn't be able to. So I think there's just sometimes this narrative that's associated with it. So then I think he just took a step out to where he was like, well, I don't want basketball to be the only defining thing of my career, my purpose, or my goals. So I think you can have multiple things. Like you got these streamers nowadays, they don't have an educational background. So they go in, they're entertaining, they're very creative, but then especially some of them talk about it early. They don't plan on sitting in front of a laptop for the next 10 years. So they're going to, from all the income, the revenue they generated from those years, they're going to turn that into a business or to something else long term. So there's different things you can do with it. So I think that's why maybe Shaq
just hit somewhere different.
It's so many places. Listen, oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack with that. First thing I'm going to unpack is this whole concept of purpose is not monolithic, or it's not a specific thing.
Right.
Because now don't get me wrong, it's not that purpose is so malleable that your purpose is different every season of your life. Generally, as the purpose prophetess, your purpose is sort of set, but it can iterate itself in many different ways.
Right.
So if my purpose is to help people, how I help people in my 20s might look different from how I help them when I'm in my 30s. Yeah. The vein of what I'm called to do is still help. If I'm an influencer, how I do that in my 20s may be TikTok videos and all that. Later on, it may be standing on a stage being a speaker.
Right.
Yeah, later on, it may be leading a youth group or a nonprofit, helping the next generation. However it is, that call on your life is still being made manifest in different ways. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say about Shaq. And unfortunately, it just came to the top of my mind when we were talking. Had I thought about it before the show, I would have actually done the research. I didn't. So I'm getting ready to, I'm going to say what I think I read. But y'all, if I'm wrong, Grace and mercy. I did not look this up. Literally, that just dropped while we were talking, because I told you guys, we're on here unscripted. Yeah. Unscripted, unfiltered. We talk from the cuff. I believe I read somewhere that one of the reasons he might have gone back was a promise to his mother. Okay. Right? Okay. So it's this vertical. What do I mean by that? The promise from her passed down to him, and then his need also to be an example for his children. His mother being an Xer, I'm sure. I haven't looked her up, but I would imagine she's an Xer. Or a boomer.
I was about to say she might be a boomer.
She might be a boomer.
Because I think he's an Xer.
I think he's an Xer.
Yes,
he's an Xer.
I think he's an Xer.
For sure.
Yeah.
An Xer.
What?
He in there with Kobe.
For sure an Xer.
Because I think
he's
Kobe
older
is
than
an
Kobe.
Xer.
He's like 5 years older than Kobe.
I think Kobe was an Xer too.
He was.
What's the youngest age for an Xer right now?
I think 39, 40, right? Something like that.
We talking about the year they was born. Ain't it in this?
Right, but I'm thinking.
Ain't it like 81? 1981?
Hey, y'all, can y'all go in our community and drop it in the chat?
Please inform us.
It's a doggone shame that we're sitting up in here doing a show called X, Y, and Z, and we're all trying to figure out where it starts.
Well, I know Z.
We knew it, but we knew.
97 to 2012.
Honey, let me tell you something. We got the best team in the world. The team just lifted up the information. 53 years old is the youngest Xer. So I don't think Shaq is 53. I don't think.
Hey, can we look up how old is Shaq?
Can we? Yeah.
Can we do that real quick?
Hold on for a minute. Ask Siri. Hey Siri. How old is Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille O'Neal is 53 years old.
Made the cut.
He just made the cut.
He just made the cut.
Hey Siri. What year was Shaquille O'Neal's mother born?
Shaquille O'Neal's mother, Lucille O'Neal, was born on September 20th, 1954 in
Yeah, she's a
Dublin,
boomer.
Georgia,
Okay.
USA.
She's a boom.
This is from tuco.co.k.
Hey Siri.
Thank you, Tuco.
Thank you. I know you want. She just wanted TV time.
Free sponsor.
Yeah, way too much. Okay, so
he just made the cut.
He just made the cut.
Just made the
So
Yeah.
so that goes back to my point. Y'all, this made my point so well. I'm telling you, sometimes this falls into place. I know it's divine. Even though this man was a multimillionaire, it was important to his mother that he still got a college degree, that he went as far as he could. And I'm telling you, a lot of that has to do with the generational and cultural perspective of, I need them to know that you're more than just an athlete.
Yeah.
You need to walk in the room and they need to know that you're intelligent. And a lot of that has to do with, like I said, just generational and cultural,
being from a marginalized group.
A marginalized group where it's like, are you really smart? So I don't want them to think you're just a jock. So it was important to her that he do that. And so you find yourself in these different generations. Sometimes you're answering a call to something larger than you. For me, it was for the people that couldn't do it.
Yeah.
For my mother who couldn't finish high school, for my grandmother who didn't have the opportunities to get an education, who they were barred from those things. And so for me, it really became about standing on their shoulders and going where they couldn't go.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all, listen, as we start to wrap this up, this is a juicy topic.
Absolutely.
We might have to come back on this one. Here's what I'm going to say. Thanks be to all things that the new generations have learned to break this whole sense of conformity.
Absolutely.
Because the unfairness for people who are not able to go to college or were not able to go to college, either for reasons of finances or the fact that they just weren't nerds. And amen, you didn't need to be, who felt locked out of the American dream.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to say that having this education does not make you better than anybody else.
Right.
There are people with high school diplomas that are working and serving humanity at the highest level.
Absolutely.
Right? And being compensated for it. And me as an entrepreneur, I can tell you, it does not require that traditional sense of education.
Right.
Now, this is what I'm going to say. Maybe the question is not so much about the education. Maybe it's about stretching yourself to do all of the things that you are able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So am I saying you need to go to college? Absolutely not. But am I saying that mediocrity is what we should settle on? No. Stretch yourself. Maybe it's not college. But how can you shatter your own glass ceiling?
Right.
It may not be college.
Mm-hmm.
But to say, I'm here and I rest here and I'm going to rest on my laurels and I'm going to ride it out till the wheels come off, maybe the real discussion is about leaving here empty. And what do I mean by that? The graveyard is filled. If you want to know where the most potential on the planet is, it's in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people left this earth full of potential.
Mm-hmm.
They never emptied it. They never stretched themselves. They never bet on themselves. They never said, let me do what's uncomfortable and see what's in me.
Yeah.
Right? Let me lift that weight. Okay, good. I can lift 100. Let me try 105.
Yeah.
Oh, I did that. Let me try 110. At some point, you get to the point where you say, oh, I can't do 120. So now I know my maximum is 115, which means I push myself to my max, right? So maybe that's the real question. But settling. But I'm going to tell you, $250,000 worth of debt.
Listen. I should have went to Paris and studied for a couple
I'm going to be honest with you. It's hard to make the case nowadays. I'm going to be honest with you. It's hard to tell people you need to go to college when you don't need that degree for your passion.
No,
and,
really.
And you were just basically saying, hey, why don't you can I interest you in like 6 figures of debt for absolutely nothing?
Yeah, people laugh at us now. It made sense, years ago, but now they just like, are you serious?
Right. Well, y'all, that's our time. Listen, this was really good, and I think we need to still have these discussions.
Absolutely.
So anxious to see what you guys are going to say in the community. Jump in the community. What's the T with Gen X, Y, and Z? It's our free Facebook community. Jump in there and share your perspective on it. This is a good conversation because people line up on either or, and nobody is wrong.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
So what's the
Absolutely.
point? Let's keep this conversation brewing. We got to ask questions. We got to listen to understand. And then we have to acknowledge the unique challenges that each generation faces. And then, y'all, we got to look for common ground because, trust me, it's there. So until next time, y'all keep sipping and keep talking. Tune in next time for another thought-provoking and entertaining conversation that's going to bridge the generational gap one cup at a time. Y'all take care.